Hi, this is Lada from Astrolada.com, and these are your October 2018 monthly horoscopes for each of the 12 signs. And as always, I'd like to start with a general feel of the whole month. For all the 12 signs will be the same introduction. Please listen to it because it's important. Everyone will feel this. Well, this month in October, there will be no planets in fire except the North Node, but that's not even a planet. Which means that we might be feeling a little bit less energetic, a little bit less enthusiastic and excited, especially the fire signs like Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius might feel a bit more on a downer. But this month is not meant for us to be so exciting. Actually, the universe knows its job because currently we're also going to have in October quite a few planets in Scorpio, which is very deep, intense, emotional. Uh, and especially Venus going retrograde there, which is all about deep emotional reevaluations. And not having fire planets actually can be a good thing because the other planets are in Earth signs and in air signs, so this will give us a bit more grounding during those emotional evaluations that we're doing in October, a little bit more practicality through the earth signs, a little bit more rationality and clarity from the air signs, from the sun in the air sign. Ah, so the most important thing though this month is that Venus is going to be retrograde in the sign of, basically the whole month is in the sign of Scorpio. So there will be some very deep psychological reevaluations of our values, our self-worth, of some of us, our relationships, of our finances, which sign it's on a bit different level, and they'll be very intense. They'll be taken out of because Scorpio is also a sign of the biggest transformations on a deep psychological level. This is not some superficial change that's going to happen in our life. This is going to be for each person on a different area of their life, some very profound transformation that you, and Scorpio is like all or nothing, black or white. So you would have, you with your evaluation ability, which is Venus, you would decide that something is either not worth to have any more in your life, and with the ruthless energy of Scorpio, where Venus is going to be and the helpful aspect, the stressful aspect from Mars, the ruler of Venus in Scorpio, we're going to either cut something out completely from our life, or we're going to decide that that's it. I'm going to recommit much deeper. I'm going to involve myself emotionally, psychologically, financially, emotionally, on a much deeper level, which is the other extreme of Scorpio, to something, to someone, to some vision or whatever in our life, depending where it's happening in your horoscope. So we'll be either cutting off something from our life, or totally embracing it deeply and totally like making it our own, possessing it, owning it, or taking control of it fully. And really, Venus is planet of love, recommitting to it with a deeper love. So there'll be intense transformations, very emotional, and hopefully those planets that are mostly in earth signs that will ground us and make us take more practical decisions, and in air, more reasonable decisions will help this process. But there is also another thing. Jupiter is in the last degrees, in the last 10 degrees of Scorpio this month. So for everyone in different area of their life, there will be some new powerful opportunities coming as well, because Jupiter is in on new 10 degrees. It hasn't been there since 12 years. So it's very interesting because they're both in the same sign. So in the same area of your life, you would be ruthlessly removing something or very deeply reevaluating and recommitting to something through Venus. And at the same time, some new opportunities will be opening for you. You first remove something, and then those new opportunities by the end of the month will start flooding in, or the other way around. Maybe those new opportunities start coming and flooding in from the same area in your life, while you're deciding that you want to remove the dead wood, which is Scorpio is the planet, the sign of death, and Venus is the planet of evaluation, and you would lovingly let go of something and let it die because something new is flooding into your life, some new opportunities, some new visions, some new people or ideas. So that's generally the whole overview for the month. And now let's check out for each sign, and check out your ascendant, sun, or moon sign. The three of them, basically, if you have time, where we talk about Venus retrograde and Jupiter moving forward. For Libra, those deep transformations are going to be happening in their second house, where Venus is going retrograde, but you'll be the one making the decisions because Venus is the planet that rules you. So you'll be reevaluating your financial situation and your self-worth, and you will take certain actions most likely when Venus starts moving direct from November, but which you'll be contemplating now in October. You'll start noticing things that you are dissatisfied with in regards to your resources, finances, things that are out of balance in some way, because the ultimate goal of Venus retrograde is to rebalance unequal or unsustainable situations to make it more worth it your efforts. So for example, you might realize that you've been undervaluing yourself with your services or for your salary or whatever, that you've been not appreciated enough, and you want to start changing something about it, and you'll be contemplating now how to go about it. And don't worry, even if you have to remove certain unsustainable, unbalanced financial resources or spending habits from your life, new such opportunities already within this month will appear by the end of October. So you might decide that, for example, or something can happen that you have to rethink your whole finances and spending because, in extreme cases, maybe because a loss of a job or something, or decrease in income in some way, or because there's too many spendings, or some new expense, unexpected expense comes, or something that you some payment that you needed to do from before, expense that you haven't completed, that appears and kind of disturbs your plans financially, so to speak, or your sense of equilibrium financially. And because of that, you have to rethink those, eliminate some of them, what Scorpio is about, eliminating, letting them go fully, or just rework something that is a source of income and support, financial, material, moral for you. Rework it in such a way that you totally, or quite, you make a deep cosmetic change, not a superficial one. And you recommit deeper to it by improving its vision, or by improving the quality of the work you do, or whatever, or renegotiating your value with someone else, whether it's clients or whatever, changing your prices. Maybe if they're too high, you might want to lower them. If they're too low, you might want to put them higher. This is all about reevaluating this worth, that what you're worth, your finances. Uh, and even if you have to do that and release something, or even sometimes it's about letting go of something, materially, financially, something that you consider valuable, what Venus is, don't worry, because Jupiter is bringing new opportunities financially. By the end of October, they're there because Jupiter is in new degrees in Scorpio, where it hasn't been for the past 12 years. And again, that is your second house. So you're trimming off some finances, some expenses, you're rebudgeting maybe. You might even kind of remove clothes that you no longer use. I've seen people in Venus retrograde in their second house, they just say, oh, my wardrobe is a mess. Why am I keeping so many old things I'm never going to use? So they kind of give things away, or, repackage everything, and move things around with their valuables as well. Maybe some people move money from one bank to another, or assets or resources as well. But new such ones are appearing. And maybe that's what gives you the strength to be more ruthless with the old financial material resources in your life, or with the old things that give you a sense of worth. And also on a psychological level, this Venus retrograde will help you transform your self-love, because the second house is how deeply do you value yourself. And because it's in Scorpio, Scorpio usually indicates some trauma, even from past lifetimes or early life, that undermine your self-worth, that might have caused a dent to how well you appreciate yourself, how well you love yourself. And Venus there, kind of when it goes retrograde in your second house, this painful situation can be reawakened by a memory or by something similar repeating, and that makes you actually relive it in a new way and experience it in a new way. So you heal, because the deeper meaning of Scorpio is deep transformational healing. So you deeply transform and heal a wound that caused you lower self-worth and self-love in some way. And it might even be connected to relationships, because Venus is planet of relationships. Um, and it might even, but you're doing some actions and changing something there. And again, new, renewed and healthier self-love and self-worth comes. Something appears in your life because of Jupiter moving direct there, which gives you a more truthful, because Jupiter is truthful, and healthy and wholesome sense of self-love and self-worth. And the second house is also a lot to do with anything with, for example, if you're in business and you're a painter and you're using certain kind of resources like canvases or paints, or if you're a designer, you're using certain materials for your designs. Well, Venus retrograde there can either delay the access to such, but most importantly, because it's in Scorpio, it's gonna transform somehow the materials that you use. You know that you, or you might be a cook and you might decide to transform the food that you work with, basically the materials that you work with. You might decide to go, oh, I'm gonna go organic, or oh, I'm gonna remodel the food in my restaurant. You know, you're reevaluating it in October. All those thoughts starting to form, and you're starting to prepare for this. In November, you can start implementing them when Venus turns direct, and it usually happens like that. The retrograde period is a research period, and also for your finances. What am I gonna do to improve them, to rebudget? You know, you're reevaluating. And so yeah, you can decide to use just better quality canvas or cheaper ones if you don't think, if you thought that maybe you were spending too much money on resources and expenses of some sort. And then you decide to kind of downsize. You know, Venus will help you, because Venus is the planet of what is worth it. uh, how much am I paying, how much am I getting? It has to be fair, it has to balance out, so you're rebalancing your books and resources somehow. And the second house is also your food. Some of you might reevaluate and totally remove certain foods from your diet, because second house is what we put in the body, and you can start realizing that some foods are making you feel one way, others another, or they're flaring some condition, or they're giving you less energy. It will become much more prominent in your, and you'd have this, the Scorpio retrograde Venus will give you the ability to lovingly release the unproductive food or things that you infuse into your body. It might be drink, it might be anything that you put inside, you know. Okay, it can be just like remodeling your wardrobe, starting to think like, because Venus is how, second house is how we, the possessions we have, the bags, the shoes, and I told you, you can either like do a spring cleaning there, or you can decide to kind of become more simple, to trim off certain things, because Scorpio is about trimming, it's about purging, you know. Uh, okay, and that again is connected to your self-worth and yourself, how you value yourself. It's also valuable as the second house, and on a positive level, Venus retrograde day can return to you something valuable. Um, that was taken away from you, or that is not in your possession, and return you to some old values of yours, to some old traditions as well, to some family. It can be a time when you kind of turn towards tried and tested values from your early childhood and family, and you find merit in them, and you start and revive them. You revive some old uh, values, traditions in your life, and even habits which will sustain you and which will make you feel more anchored, more stable. Or also, you can revive some old financial resources, sources of finances. You might like kind of some idea can come to you that you've left behind, that you're working on to create financial stability in your life, but it's just at some moment was interrupted, and now you can it can come back into your life, so you can actually recommit deeper and revive it. Scorpio is death and rebirth. So it's rebirth of your resources, your self-worth, and you're personally involved in those. And actually, all Libras will feel a bit more intense and more Scorpionic this month, because their ruler is in Scorpio. They are ready for transformation. They're not going to be the usual superficial self. Sorry to bother that. Not superficial, but pleasant and gentle, you know, trying to please everyone. They will be like, I'm turning within, I'm self analytical, I'm very focused on elimination as well. That is Scorpio. And transformation, very focused on transformation, and I'm no longer going to make compromises. But at the same time, remember, Jupiter is moving direct in your second house. New opportunities in all those fields will appear simultaneously. And Mars is going to be in your fifth house the whole month. So that can give you a lot more excitement actually. You're one of the signs that will feel a bit more fiery and exciting because Mars is in a fire house for you, the fifth house, so it gives you more enthusiasm to party, to enjoy yourself as well, gives you more enthusiasm to be more proactive in your love life, to be more proactive with children, but it can also give some fights about money with children, with fights with lovers, about resources, or about how you feel valued by them, by your children, or by your love people, or by your lovers, you know. And you can be quite proactive also with your creative projects. Forge ahead, and this is a good combination. And Mars transits the fifth house that the person starts doing some physical sports that they enjoy. So you might feel like almost like inspired to do something to, and that will raise your energy levels, and that you is physical, but that makes you feel happy and entertained at the same time. Just be careful about those fights with lovers and stuff like that. Uh, and the sun, of course, is in your sign. It's your month. Libras in October, so a lot of new ideas will be coming, especially if your sun is in Libra. And even the ascendant, there will be some new beginnings coming for you. Even though Venus is retrograde, those write down those new beginnings, contemplate them while Venus is retrograde, because you'll be implementing them into your life for the next 12 months. This is when the cosmos infuses those imprints us with a plan for the future, and we get those new inspirations basically when the sun transits our sign. There, the sun is the most creative planet, so some creative insights, ingenious new ideas are going to come for you. And you're going to be one of the signs that feels most energized actually, and better than the others. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next month.